Hi, welcome to Encounter Church. My name is Damien Hubert. I am the pastor, and I just want to say thank you for joining us for our online service. This service is designed to meet your needs wherever you may be, whether you are close to us here in Rincon, Georgia, or around the world, or anywhere in between. This service is designed to meet your needs, whether you're worshiping individually, with your family, with a group, or with a home church. There are some obstacles to connection digitally, and one of those is to have a connection. And so my hope is that you will take advantage of our QR code you'll see here on the screen. This QR code will allow you to scan and fill out our digital connection card. This does two things. First, give us as much information as you're comfortable with. It gives us an opportunity to reach out to you, hear your story, get to know you, and help connect you to not only us here at Encounter, but to each other around the world and people in your geographic location as well. The second thing it allows us to do is allows us to see your needs and feel your needs and pray for your needs. There's a prayer request portion of that, and you can fill that out. And we have a prayer team that prays for people in specific ways, and we pray for you every week, as well as there's an option to just have the pastoral staff pray for that. And this will allow us to not only pray, but reach out and help with any needs that we can assist with as well. So hopefully you'll take advantage of this digital connection card. There's also places to comment, and we encourage you to comment, connect with us. Make this more of a dialogue instead of a monologue with us just giving you content. We want to hear your story. We want to connect with you, and we want to help you connect with others in your community as well. So scan this QR code. You'll see this now as well as at the end of the service. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the service. Hey, welcome to Encounter Online. We're so glad that you're here with us today. We're finishing up, or we're actually got this week and next week in our Wise One series, and we're walking through Proverbs. And before we jump into today, I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted something so hard, so bad, and you worked hard for it? You wanted something so much, and you worked hard for it. My daughter's one was in flag, and she worked during the summer to do all of her flag twirling stuff to be ready. One daughter is in track, and she works. She's tracks not till next season after Christmas, and we're months away, and she's working out now to be in shape for it, right? She's working hard to paying the price to have success later, right? My youngest is in softball, and she's working almost every day during the week even when she doesn't have practice to get better, right? I often tell my kids this, that as they're striving, trophies are not won in games, right? Trophies are won at practice. You just simply pick them up at the tournaments. You simply pick them up at the game. You simply pick them up at the track meet. But you win them in your practice. The way you work in practice, right? That's what wins. On the inverse of that question, have you ever wanted something so bad, but you're not willing to do the work? I think that hits me a lot during my life, and I think it hits a lot of us. But you want that new job. You have a bad job. You want another job, but you're not searching for one. You're just complaining about the one you have. You're not attending school to change your education levels to get that next job or the one that you want. You're not acquiring additional skills so that you can get the job that you want or a different job. Right? Maybe you want better grades, but you're not putting the time studying. You're wishing, you're hoping, but hope is not a strategy. And so you're not studying, you're not spending the time doing the homework to build up the muscle memory in your brain to do well on the exams later, right? Or putting the time in to do well in your projects that are due. I think some of us want a better budget. Or better finances. We want control of our finances, but we're not even having a budget, right? I wish I had extra money, but we don't know where our money's going because we don't have a budget. Or that we begin to spend, we live check to check, and we spend all that we have, or we buy stuff that we can't afford, right? We use credit cards to buy these things we can't afford. And it's this idea that we're settling for pennies in the short term instead of striving for dollars in the long term. With our finances, we put ourselves, we want the small things now instead of working for the big things later, saving for the big things later. And we're not disciplined. That's why most Americans and throughout the world, we have more credit card debt than 401ks. Because we're not paying the price now and working hard now for what we want later, right? And for me, I need to work out. I need to work out. I have a plan to work out. I'm going to get up before an hour earlier than I need to so that I can work out. The problem for me is I want something, but I'm not willing to work at it because at 5 a.m. I like sleep more than exercise. And to be honest, I like cookies more than broccoli. So me getting in shape, it's tough because right now I'm not willing to do the work. And I think too often we live this way. We want something better, but we don't strive for it. We don't do something. We don't make a change for it. We envy those who have more success than us, and we, instead of emulating their work ethic, we tend to talk badly about them. Or we say they got lucky or whatever. Just if the chips fell, if I had all the advantages of that person, I would be in that same boat. That's what we often tell ourselves to justify not doing anything to get there, right? We're not doing what it takes to get what we want in life, right? Dawn Staley, she's the women's basketball coach at the greatest university on this planet, at the University of South Carolina. And she has a quote, and I really like this. It says this: "A lot of people notice when you succeed, but they don't see what it takes to get there." I think that sums up a lot of us in life. We see success and we want it, but we don't know what it takes to get there, or we're not willing to do the work it takes to get there. She has another quote that I like. It says, "Problem is, y'all got league dreams, but backyard work ethic, and your parents applaud it." See, she's talking to athletes that want to be in the league, whether it's NFL, the NBA, the WNBA, whatever it is, they want to be in the league, right? In the pros. And they have these big dreams, but they have a very bad work ethic, which keeps them from getting there. And I think we do this a lot in life, but it's not just secular things. I think we do this in our spiritual life as well. I think that we do this, we want a close relationship with God, but we do the least we can to have it. We squeeze God into our budget at the end. We squeeze God into our schedule at the end. When he doesn't fit, I hope he does next week. When he doesn't fit in my day. See, if God is the priority, we want that close relationship. There should never be a time where I didn't have time to pray. I didn't have time for my quiet time, because it is the number one thing. I don't have time for other things because I was in my quiet time. We do the least we can. I got to have a quiet time. So if I have time, I'll do it, right? And so the wisdom for today that we're going to talk about, the wisdom today is wisdom is work. Hard work is wisdom. And Solomon tells us this in Proverbs. We're going to be back in 22. We were in Proverbs 22 a couple weeks ago. We're jumping back into it. And we're going to look at a few other verses that are in there. And we're going to look at Proverbs 22:1. It says this: "A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold." See, this idea that reputation is richer than gold. Growing up, I played sports. And all throughout playing sports, I was known as a hard worker. I wasn't the fastest athlete. I wasn't the strongest athlete. I wasn't the most talented athlete. I wasn't the smartest athlete. I was the best looking, but I wasn't any of those other things, right? But I was the hardest working athlete. And I got college scholarships for soccer and football because the coaches, when college coaches would come, they would see my hard work got me to a certain level. But then when they talked to my coaches, my high school coaches and my travel coaches, my coaches had tremendously good things to say about my work ethic, about how hard I worked. And that reputation is what got me scholarships. I think sometimes we want a godly life. We want to be close to God. We want blessings from an intimate relationship with God. But we have to ask ourselves, have we worked at it? If our relationship with God depended on the work we put in? Luckily, it doesn't. He gives us grace, but our closeness to God, not his closeness to us, but our closeness to God does. How hard are we working at it to orient our hearts towards that? have we worked at? Are we active in prayer? What's our prayer life looking like? What does our Bible study look like as we study his word to find out how he speaks to us and the way he tells us what he desires from us in our lives? How do we gather with other believers? Some of us are limited digitally, and we're glad that you're here. How are we doing this? Are we doing this as often as we can? Are we gathering with others that are around us? Are we seeking him in all things? Because the reality is this, if we want God, when it comes to our spiritual life, if we want God to do the supernatural, we have to do the natural. Right? We want him to show up in miraculous ways. We have to do the work. We have to do our part in that relationship and seek him in all the ways, in the spiritual disciplines we can, to seek him and have him in our lives. Proverbs 22:3 says this, "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." See, the wise see danger. The wise plan ahead. The wise plan for the future. And too many of us never prepare for the unexpected. Right? We get caught by surprise, and most of the time it's not unexpected. It's a matter of how we've been living our life, right? That things come up, right? We don't have savings, and we're not prepared, and so we live check to check. We spend that extra on the frivolous, and then one small thing happens, and it ruins our finances. A flat tire destroys our finances. How are we going to pay for that? An unexpected bill destroys our finances because we didn't plan for the future. Our health, it fails later in life because we didn't prepare now. Later in life, we may have heart issues, but we didn't do the exercise now. We didn't do the cardiovascular exercises now that will keep our heart healthy in 5, 10, 15 years. We didn't eat healthy now that would keep us from having high cholesterol and high blood pressure later. I think the same is true for us not being prepared when it comes to our faith. That too often we look to God in or after a crisis. We go to him, and that's when we dive into our Bibles. That's when we get back into the routine of attending church regularly. That's when we seek wise biblical advice from people. Is when we're in the middle of a crisis or when we just went through a crisis. But I would say that if we did those things before the crisis ever happened, if we were doing those things regularly, if we were prepared, if we were doing the work, we would be better prepared to handle the crisis. We would have the foundation of our faith there. It would be solid, and we'd be better at handling whatever crisis came. We would also experience God more intimately through the crisis. Doesn't say that we wouldn't go through a crisis, but that when we go through, we would be able to lean and rest on him and the assurance that he is present in our lives. Proverbs 22:13 says this, "The sluggard says, 'There's a lion outside. I'll be killed in the public square.'" And I think for me, I read this, and the sluggard, the person, says, there's this big thing out there, and I haven't done anything to prepare for it. I'm not prepared, and so I'll be killed. I'll make this excuse. I'll be killed. You're right. They're not prepared to save their own lives. They're not prepared to save others, and they simply just go, "Oh, well, it's a lion. What can I do? It's a lion. What can I do?" This bad job becomes a lion, right? Like for some of us, we say that a lot. It's a lion. What can I do? And we might not say it's a lion, but I'm just stuck in this job. What can I do? And so this job becomes a lion. That unforeseen bill becomes a lion. That relationship becomes a lion. That close walk with God becomes a lion. I'll never attain a close walk with God because of whatever. And it becomes a lion. And we make excuses for not doing anything about it. We make excuses for not being prepared and not doing the work before. And we make excuses for not doing the work while we're going through whatever. We make excuses for not putting the work in that we need to. And so we justify being stuck, either in our job or our finances or our lives or our spiritual lives, our faith. We justify being stuck. We justify it we justify not working at it. Because how am I going to create change versus a lion? The sluggard says there's a lion outside. How can I beat a lion? How can I create change? I think Charles Spurgeon gives us a quote, and he says this, Where nothing is done, much is talked about. I think we're famous at talking about things we want done. I think we're famous at desiring things and telling the world what we want, telling others what we want, whether it's in our secular world, whether it's in finances, health, our fitness, our jobs, whatever, our education, whatever it might be, but it's also in our spiritual life. We talk a lot about wanting to be close to God. We talk a lot about wanting God number one in our life. We talk a lot about God wanting to be the front and center for us and for our kids and for our family. But often we don't do anything about that. The reality is this. If you're not where you want to be in your faith, if you're not where you want to be in your finances, if you're not where you want to be in any aspect of your life, it's simple. You have two choices. You can have excuses or you can have results. You can't have both. So if you want results in your faith, if you want a better faith, if you want more intimacy with God, if you want to get closer, we have to do the work and do the spiritual disciplines it takes to create that active back and forth as we go and commune with God. If you want a better job, you can make excuses or you can have results. You can't have both. If you want better finances, you can have a budget or you can make reasons why you don't have one. You can make all those excuses, but you won't have results and excuses. You can't have both. In your health, in my health, me working out, I can continue to get fatter and have all kinds of excuses, or I can get fitter and start working and have these results. But I can't have excuses and results. I can only have one. And so we need to work on a plan to defeat the lion, right? In our health, we have to work on our plan. What do we want to do for our health? What are our goals in life? Do we want to live longer for our kids and our grandkids? Do we want to live healthier so we can do more things? Those things start now, right? Like when you're in your 20s and 30s, the calcium you intake in your body determines your osteoporosis in your 60s and 70s. Or lack of osteoporosis, hopefully. What are we doing now? What's the plan? How are we dealing with that line? In our finances, do we want to be in a place, we talked about generosity a couple weeks ago, do we want to be in a place where we can live and be generous? We have to have a plan. We have to do the work now. In our relationships, we have to work on our relationships. We can't just wait till something blows up and then go, oh, let's try and work on it now. We have to invest in those, whether it's with our kids and spend time with them, with our spouse and spend time with them, and spend meaningful time with those people that are around us that we are close to. In our spiritual life, if we want to be closer to God, we want him to do the supernatural in our life, we have to begin to do the natural. We have to begin to do the spiritual disciplines on a regular basis before a crisis occurs, so that in the crisis and after the crisis, we have a firm foundation to deal with it and that we feel the presence of God through it. I want to finish you with a verse today that helps me. It helps to inspire me. It says this, Proverbs 22:29 says this, do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low rank. And it's this idea that, do you see someone skilled? Do you see someone who has worked hard and become talented in what they have? That they will be trusted with more. Are you working hard towards what you got? Because when you do that, you will be trusted with more. Jesus told a parable of this in Matthew 25, and he has these talents, right? And he gives these talents to people, which is this money to people, right? And he gives 5 to one person, they go invest and they make 5 more. And he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. And he, and then 2 is given to someone and he invests and gets 2 more and he gets even more to invest, right? And then he gives 1 to a person, they do nothing with it. They don't invest it, they do nothing with it. They waste an opportunity. They didn't work hard at it. They didn't work to make this better, to grow it. They did nothing. And here's the reality. God has given each and every one of us a gift of 86,400. There's 86,400 seconds in a day. That's God's gift to you today, was 86,400 seconds. How are you investing that gift? How are you investing that gift? Are you investing that in a way that God will say, well done, my good and faithful servant? Are you working to grow those things that you want to grow? Are you working to change those things in your life that you want to change? Are you working to grow your faith and have a relationship that's closer and closer to God? Are you investing those 86,400 seconds each day in a way that God will say, well done, my good and faithful servant? And as we close, my advice to you would be this: to be wise, to work for the change you want. We're going to pray, and then right after we're going to have a song to finish up the service. Please continue to stay with us throughout the whole service and just enjoy the song as you sing or as you let the words just wash over you. Dear God, we come to you. We thank you for the gift that you have given us. Lord, you've given us life, and today you have given us another day. 86,400 seconds. Lord, help us to invest that in a way that brings about the change that we want. Whether we're working to get a better job, or better finances, or better health, or just anything in our lives. But Lord, most importantly, help us to invest that in a way that we get closer to you. That's a huge investment of 86,400 that we can invest in you so that we can grow closer to you in all things. Lord, I pray that you will help move us, stir something inside of us that will help us to move that. Give us discernment on where we need to invest that. And Lord, help us to stop making excuses so that we can start making results in our lives. Lord, help us to work hard for it. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us.
When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain are all I know, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Shame no longer has a place to hide. I am not a captive to the lies. I'm not afraid to leave my past behind. No, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. There's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out a grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. There's power in your name. There's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out a grave. There's resurrection power that can save. Power in your name. There's power in your name. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Oh, my fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Standing in your love. Standing